So it's day 2 on this KDX build. Not fully sure yet where I'm going with it. I'm going to be keeping the horn up here and running the horn wires all the way up and around to that. I kind of quite like it there, and it works. All of this wiring that I did yesterday is temporary. I'm going to be using box junctions and then taping them up. At the moment I've got all the lights sorted. I haven't got the horn sorted. I can't quite figure that out using this button, which is annoying. But I'll get some help if needed for that. I've got no solution to the rear brake. I believe it needs a new master cylinder. 40-50 quid if you can find a second-hand one. I've drained out some of the oil. It was definitely too high, and I've bought some gloss black paint and some matte black paint. I'm going to stick with the colour scheme. I'm going to keep this matte, and this matte, and I'm going to do the side panels gloss black. And I'm in two minds whether I'm going to buy a decal set now. I might do. It's a long wait. It's 2 or 3 weeks wait, and this could be gone by then. I just have to decide whether I want to do a full project or just get it back roadworthy and sold on. I've put a bulb in here. I have no idea if it's the right bulb. I picked it up today, just guessing really. It fits in. I'm just not sure if it will come on or do anything. I tried desperately to buy a battery for it today and I couldn't find one anywhere. So I've ordered one online now. So hopefully tomorrow I'll be getting the new ignition and a new battery, which can solve a lot of the problems. The ignition I've ordered is a simple 2-wire ignition. I have no idea if it's going to look like this or if it's going to fit in the same spot. I'm just testing it for now. I'm hoping that I can pull it in the same spot and get it to work somehow. That's where we are at the moment. I'll show you some of the wiring that I'm going to be doing, and I'll show you some of the spraying. Alright, in case you want to see some of the spray work. So I'm going to record some of the multimeter testing I'm doing, but it doesn't mean that much. I'm just curious really. Rear bulb is on and working, that's good. So I'm going to show you these junctions I'm using. They're these ones here. They will go onto here, and then that will clip onto the brake bell itself. Now these housings, I find them a bit of a pain. What I do now is I put them through and I run the wire around like this. Then I crush, which is what you're meant to do. Crush it on like that. And for extra stability, I'm going to put a bit of electrical tape as well around it, because these connections can just be a bit of a pain. They can come loose, they can come undone. And there's one connection ready to go on. So I'm going to give this carb a quick clean. Now I will show you the process and I'll be pausing in between, but I'm going to let you know exactly what I'm doing. First thing we need to look at when doing a carb clean is the fact that fuel is definitely in the carb and fuel may be coming down the fuel line. If you've got a fuel switch like mine, you can turn it off. There's no issue there. You'll get some spill, but not loads. If you've got a moped and there are two lines coming off here, it won't spill either because it uses suction to let the fuel through. So this line comes off, although I'm not going to do that yet. First thing I'm going to do is undo this bolt here and undo this one up here, so that I can try and pull the carb off and swing it towards me this way. That's the first thing I'm going to be doing at this stage. So this is where we've got to. So it's out of the manifold, which incidentally is missing a bolt that wouldn't have been helping its running issues. Now I had to move the airbox back a touch to get this out, but it wasn't difficult. Now what I'm going to do is spray some releasing fluid into the top of the bolts, although that one shows, the others don't. Basically these bolts can be notoriously difficult to get off. See, the old fluid's just draining out at the moment. So to make things clear and obvious to you, the next thing I'm doing is taking this bottom part off. I'm doing this bolt and the bolt on the other side. That's all I'm doing next. Hoping you'll be able to see what I'm going to do here, but the two bottom bolts are loose and will now be off. And that's where we need to be. Now looking at this float bowl straight away, it's not terrible, but that doesn't mean it's good either. So I'll give the bowl a quick clean, which you can't see, but basically I just cleaned in there briefly. Here's some important bits. Anything we unscrew, we need to check that it's fully in to start with. So for example, this screw here may be the air fuel mixture screw. Now that's been set up in the past, so we may as well leave it set up. So let's see how many it's out. So half, one, half, two. So that was 2 screws out. So we can now take this fully out. Be careful with it, there should be a spring inside. If you lose that spring, you'll be in trouble. There's the spring. And there's the air fuel mixture screw. Now that will just need a clean in a little while, but that passage will also need a clean using a carburetor or metal cleaner. So that's one thing. That would be like that. And you give it a minute to work. It doesn't hurt to spray through all of these with your carb cleaner at this stage. Careful it don't spray you in the eye. Now from here, we'll take the slide out and leave it dangling. We don't really need to do anything with that. What we can do is check the needle, clean the needle. Looks good actually. Now here, this is where we need to start thinking about what we do. These floats look fine, that's good. Let's get the floats out. Be careful what you pull out here, make sure it comes out in one piece. That's all that holds it in. And that there is what cuts the fuel, this thing here. We'll be spraying our carb cleaner in there. Now we'll take out our idle jet. Doesn't appear to be gunked up, but absolutely doesn't hurt to clean it out using metal cleaner or carb cleaner. This is our main jet right here. This is your full throttle jet. Again, it doesn't really look clogged, but it doesn't hurt to clean it. And minute, this is all I'm doing, spraying the cleaner through it. Some minute particles could still be in there, so it's worth doing. sure what's going on with this one. I think for now I'll leave it be. So, fresh can of metal cleaner now. Every passage you can see. Spray a little bit in to start with. Every passage. Oh, got me. Including the air fuel mixture passage. Now it's high pressure, full power. All of them. And the same through here. This one. You can see that clearing out. This one. Main jet, can see that clearing out. So that really is about it. It wasn't gunked up badly actually. It was okay. What we'll do is give these one last spray before putting them back in. High pressure. Then they go in hand tight to start with, and then we'll nip them up at the end. Same with the main jet, that's clearly open and working. That's all good. Air fuel, screw here, clean it, spray it, get any gunk off it that's on it, make sure the spring is on and that can go back in. We will set that to 2 screws out like we know it was before. I'll set that straight away actually. So we go all the way back in to where it stops there. Half, 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 half. We're back to where we started, which is good. This wire is a bit stiff at the other end, so I wanted to try and get some grease through it. I'll also be putting some through the other end. Next step is to put the floats back on and the float needle. Nothing holds this pin in, it just goes through and stays. Main thing is lining it all up. There you go. That's good. Got a lot of people calling. Okay. So the bolt is cleaned, ready to go back on. See how we sit now. Great. Now when you do these screws up, you do kind of quarter turns at a time because there's a gasket on here. I will show you what I mean. So hand tight on both sides. Then now we go like this, we go quarter turn, quarter turn, quarter turn, and then we nip it up. We don't overly tighten it because it's got a gasket under there, hand tight. But it should be great. When you're putting in this the plunger back in, you have to twist it. It will find a passageway where it works. There you go. So you twist it. Then screw the top on and you go pretty much back to where you were. Now this carb is fully cleaned and set up to the same place it was before. There is a screw missing in there which I'd like to replace. So that extra bolt is in there now. I'm hoping it's not missing anymore. Can't see any more missing. That could have easily been letting in too much air. It's not, you know, that wasn't ideal. but that bolt is in there. It wasn't easy to get it snug actually, tighten it up, but it's in and tight, so that's fine. Next step. Next step is working the carb back in. I say working because it's not necessarily easy, although it might be on this occasion. Now at this point we need to just have a look at this manifold, make sure there's no splits, and I can't see any. Let me put the idle in there. There you go. That's definitely seated. I'm going to tighten that one before tightening the airbox. Spot on. And see, pinch to the bottom. You need to make sure it's on all the way around. That's it. There you go. That's your carb clean. Now, that carb wasn't bad. It definitely wasn't gunked up. It actually didn't need the clean, but always worth doing, just in case. You can just never tell. So I'm glad that's done. Yep, I'm just going to put the back and the airbox. I'm going to make sure it's screwed on properly, and we'll be back to where we were this morning, which isn't great. So I mentioned earlier that the throttle was a bit sticky. When I drove this bike home over a week ago, it stuck on me once or twice, and it was dangerous, quite frankly. Now this can be a couple of things. You need a bit of grease in here, where the wire goes around and where the slide goes around. You need a bit of grease in there. But also, the actual wire itself needs to be greased. So I'm going to do two things. I'm going to try and get some spray grease down the system, and I'm going to put either rub on some grease or again spray grease down here to try and stop that happening. It's not safe. So I'll set you up at a distance, get a rough idea of what I'm doing. I can see straight away that it's very gunky down there. It should seep in more and more overnight. So I'll let that sit. It's a bit better. It had lots of thick grease in there, which tends to slow it down actually, rather than speed it up. It gets gunky. A spray-on grease is generally much better. It's a bit better. It's not great. I'm going to leave it overnight, see if it soaks in, goes further down this line. And then I'll have to look at the routing, see if there's a problem with the route. It's not too bad. It's better than it was. Every little helps. I'll put the cover back on, and we should be good to go there for that one. I'm going to put the backlight cover back on, because that bulb works for brake light and for rear light, so that's great at this stage. I've got a master cylinder coming. I've actually ordered the a universal one, so I'm going to test that, see how that goes. I'm not holding my breath, it was only 20 quid. And I'm going to use the original wire, get rid of this one, it's too long. I've cleaned the original and I've taken off the plastic. There doesn't appear to be any holes at all in it. I don't know what was going on. I think the failure has been within this master cylinder rather than the wire or the caliper. So new master cylinder will tell us that. I've took out some oil. I only took out about 300 millilitres in the end. I took out 500 millilitres and it was too much, so I put some back in. Carb's been cleaned. Some of the electrics are working better. Lots of this will be cleaned up and hidden when I can get the horn. The horn is my stumbling point at the moment. I have no idea how it works. I know that this yellow and black and earth make the horn work. I've tried every button in this. Maybe this is faulty. I've had one before that was faulty. It could easily be, but I'm not sure. I think tomorrow we'll have more updates. Oh, I also cleaned and lubricated the chain. Well worth doing that because it was rusty. There's loads on there, way too much. I'm going to let it seep in overnight and then I'm going to give it a good wipe in the morning. I also tested the car by turning the fuel on and it's not leaking, so that's great because it was before. Actually, while we're here, I'm going to check the air filter in case it's really dirty or bunged up. It's worth ordering one of them while we're at this stage. Otherwise, I'll be doing some spraying tomorrow, getting the metallic black on and ready. So the air filter's out. It is pretty dirty. Very dirty. I believe you can wash these and put them back in, so I'm going to wash this one overnight and dry it, and we'll throw this one back in if it doesn't disintegrate. There's a high chance it disintegrates when being washed. If that's the case, I'll order one if I can find one.